5 days after I bought this property, I had to kick the hoarder out because her lease was coming up. This guy, he's like 75 years old, living off of disability.
Fixed income.
Yeah. And I'm going to kick his family out. Right. And so I'm at this point where 5 days after owning this property, man, the Lord's given me this opportunity. Take it or cower, Caleb. What are you going to do?
What's going on, everybody? So welcome back to the Estrada podcast. Today's guest, we have Caleb Johnson in the house, right here from Arizona. Not born here. I believe you're born in Texas.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, I'm glad to have you on the show.
Chris, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, man. So I've been following you for a bit. You know, you're the owner and operator of Red Sea Capital. Is that correct?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And what do you guys do at Red Sea?
So at Red Sea Capital, we bring a consortium of investors together to buy large apartment complexes, usually 75 plus units, and then we'll own those properties for 3 to 5 years and then exit once we are able to return investors' capital and get them that return.
So basically, syndication.
Basic syndication.
That sounded really good for saying syndication. I was like, I got to go to school just to learn that. No, I'm just kidding. So what, Caleb, so you're born in Texas. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Young guy. Mm-hmm. You've been doing this for a while. That's awesome, dude.
Since I was 19.
Yeah, I love it. I love the hunger, the drive, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't have that.
No.
Young and old.
Yeah.
I don't think that hunger and drive can be built in someone.
No, I think for me, I always saw my parents, they didn't have much.
Yeah.
Right? And a middle-class family, blue collar. And I saw the life that they had, and we might go into that more in my story.
Yeah.
But I saw the life they had. I knew I wanted different. And I think that is what kind of birthed that hunger in me. So
you're 25. You're born in Texas. How does the young Caleb look? How does that life, like you said, growing up in Lubbock, Texas, and how does that look for you as a young boy growing up?
Yeah. So I was 2 years old when we moved from Lubbock, Texas, out to Arizona.
Nice.
And yeah, growing up, I was into animals. I was an animal guy, and we had a petting zoo that I would bring people in and kind of market to our neighborhood. I remember it was funny, charging like 10 cents for people and like 2 cents for babies or something stupid that. But really enjoyed animals growing up. My parents had me when they were a little bit older, so I'm always an old soul. And from there, my parents got divorced when I was 10, and so kind of lived 2 separate lives in that regard.
Yeah.
And yeah, after that time, I gave my life to Christ when I was 6 years old. That's number one in my life. And that was kind of growing up. And in high school, I was a big gamer. I tell people I was ranked 17th in the world in one video game specifically.
Which one's that?
Call of Duty Ghost and Domination. So it was...
Did you get paid for that?
No. I mean, it was just all time invested.
They were young though, because now they do everything online, right? And they get paid and stuff.
Yeah. You can get into competitive.
Yeah.
I had a YouTube channel, and so you can make money on YouTube and all that. But that was kind of my life, man. But in high school, I was very, very antisocial.
Okay.
I was in a big high school, 3,000 plus students, and I remember wanting to avoid conversation and avoid people so much, I would walk around the entire school just to go to my one class. So walk a half mile out of my way just to avoid people. And senior year, that all changed. From there, got the entrepreneurial bug, and that was my childhood.
So you grew up having a little pet zoo that was in Mesa, Arizona. Mm-hmm. What kind of animals did you have?
Had rabbits. We had a bird aviary, so we probably had 5 to 10 birds. Fish pond, dog, millipede, lizards, turtles. Maybe I said that, but I think that was it.
So you'd be like, "Hey kids, you want to see my stuff?
Yeah,
pay me $1, pay me $1.
Yeah. I think we had signs or something like that.
Really?
Or bandits? Flyers. And so would drop those off at the doors, and that's how it happened.
So how was that like, growing up in with two different homes, going to, your mom's over here, your father's over there. Did you stay in contact with your father? Did you live with your mom? Who'd you live with?
Yeah, I lived with my mom,
Yeah.
and I visited my dad every other weekend.
Okay.
And so he lived up in Cordes Junction, Prescott.
Yeah.
For the listeners, that's about an hour and a half away from my mom's house.
Up north.
Yeah, and so we would, I remember my dad, he'd pick me up, and we'd drive on the I-17 in rush hour traffic every Friday night and spend Saturday together. We would work in his library. He's been managing libraries for decades. And then Sunday, we do a hike, church. I hated hikes.
Yeah.
And then my mom would pick me up Sunday night. And otherwise, it was just school, video games at my mom's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool that your dad did that.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have a relationship with both of them?
Yeah. My dad's my biggest spiritual mentor by far. And just a great role model for me, seeing, he was always the type of person to, say, you can do it, Caleb, you can do anything. Right. My mom's more of the background of, she's had a different upbringing where you get a job, safe, secure. That's what you do. But my dad's kind of the other side where do whatever you want, do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Whatever God wants you to do.
So when you were growing up, the introvert, they probably more your mom, and then you became a young man. You're started becoming like your dad.
Kind of, yeah. My dad's. I don't want to be exactly like my dad. I'll be honest.
Well, no.
Yeah. But yeah. I'd say my mom's taught me so many good things on the emotional spectrum.
Yeah.
Right. Praise God for my mom, because I remember when my parents got divorced, my dad was homeless. And so he was living out of his truck, would sleep at his dad's house from here and there, uncle's house. My mom, she was working at a school. And so making $8 an hour can't really provide for me. And I'm an only child. I do have a brother and sister on my dad's side, but so she had to do something else to really provide for us.
Yeah.
So she decided to go to school, and she actually just told me this maybe in the last couple months. But she remembers having $35 in her bank account. Yeah. And so what do you do? Yeah. So praise God for her. But I've learned a ton from her in that regard. She's a big motivator of mine. And yeah, I've learned so much, especially on the emotional side from her, how to have an emotional IQ.
No, that's really important that you say that, because we all think of different things when we think of like intelligence, or I'm strong, I'm headstrong, all these things. But like to have that emotional intelligence she's able to stay strong in the worst time. Right. That's because you recognize it and it's going to hurt, but you got to stay strong no matter what. And that's where a lot of people break, because they don't have that. You know what I mean? Imagine if she broke, like, you wouldn't be here right now.
No, it's all an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
And so she's like, hey, I got this son. I can't give up. I'm going to keep going. Right. Yeah. Did she ever remarry and have more kids or anything? Or she was older though, right?
No. Yeah. So she was, I don't remember how old she was when she divorced. No, she would have been 50. And so no remarried. She did lose an earlier son. Oh. And so that was my brother. And that was kind of a big thing for her. Like, she just wanted to raise me.
Yeah, just concentrate on you.
Yeah, don't bring another guy in type thing. So that was, a big sacrifice on her end.
So you get through high school, you're in the last year, you start to realize, like, man, you get this hunger and drive in you. Were you exposed to something, at 18, 17, 18, whatever that age is? What there was something, I'm sure you look back now and you're like, this person, that thing, whatever. What triggered and had you like change? Because you're totally introvert and you're like, boom, I'm talking to everyone, I can't shut up. I was kind of like, I wasn't really like that, kind of like that, but yeah. What was that? When you look back, what was that change?
Naturally, I'm still an introvert, honestly. Like, I mean, the difference from an introvert and extrovert is an introvert gets their energy from being alone. Yeah. An extrovert's the opposite. Like, I got to be around people, go to parties, be around people. That's how I get energy. Yeah. But I naturally just reboot by myself. Yeah. But it was a mindset shift. When I was 17, I remember hating life and just getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. and crying out to God really and saying, God, I'm done. I need, change me. I really need some help.
Yeah.
And then I remember after that moment, after deciding that, that's when my eyes, I remember watching one movie. It was called The Gridiron Gang. The Rock plays in it. And long story short, The Rock, he is a corrections officer, trains up these juvenile delinquents, and he really connects with this one guy who's the QB, the quarterback, and helps him see that you're something.
Yeah.
You're worth something, right? Believe in yourself. You can do it. And I really resonated with that kid. And so after that moment, I started watching motivational videos, right? Kind of seeking something more.
Yeah.
And from there, that's the changing moment for me.
So I like that because, you know, you took initiative, you know, the Gridiron Gang, are you showing that? That's a good movie.
Yeah.
So you took initiative, and there's so many today, young and old, that won't take that initiative, that can't recognize the struggle, right? I think that comes from, so one is you had strength from your mom, you had strength from your dad, even if it was two different types of strengths from two different places. But I think the ultimate strength was you tapped into that the God in you, like, you know, and I think there's always something, and this goes for me too, and probably many people watching this, is like when you can tap into something bigger than you, it's unlimited. The resource is unlimited, right? We limit ourselves, but when we have the God in us and we know who our God is, it's like it's unlimited. It's forever. I mean, in the Bible it says it overflows, right? It just keeps, it can keep coming. It's up to us to stop it, right?
Right.
And so I'm glad you said, like, and you tapped into it. You started watching motivational videos, because I tell people all the time, like, you could learn from anything. Today it's so easy. So I'm 43, and you know, when I was younger, internet was just kind of going, right? Nothing crazy and stuff like that, and you didn't have access. We didn't have access to that stuff. If we had it, you know, when I started like learning on my own, because I didn't go to high school, I only went to 1 month. I started going to the library and getting books, or trying to buy used book, like just different things, you know.
Oh.
And so we didn't have that resource. And today I tell people, like, start watching motivational videos. Find something that resonates with you. You know, I know a guy, he found me, it's crazy. He found me after 18 years. He was in prison. And I knew him from when I was younger. And, you know, he called me, found me here at the office. And he's like, hey, you know, I'm out of prison, and I haven't talked to anyone in that world for like 20 years. And I was like, man, you know, I'm glad you're out. You know, I'm glad, you know, what's the next step, you know? And so I shot him a YouTube channel. I think it's Wes. These guys are ex-prison guys that came out and started killing it. You know what I mean? They're making millions. They're in prison. They got tattoos everywhere. And I was like, you will resonate with this guy. Get something that you can resonate with and tap into that, right? Because I think God puts people on this earth specifically for certain people. You know what I mean? That's why, you know, like, so you're here for a reason. I'm here for a reason, right? And our skill sets help us train and equip the next generation. You know, God uses us, right? And so, you know, watching motivate. So everyone who's watching this, like, get on YouTube. You know, get on Spotify, Audible. You know, I'm listening to, I got like 50 Audible books, but I'm listening to Elon Musk right now, and then one from John Maxwell about teamwork, right? I don't have to listen to these, right? Not to say I know them, but I don't have to listen.
Right.
Right. And then I'm on YouTube all the dang time watching full-blown videos, you know, trying to learn, you know, what's going on. You know, what's, for me, I like the world news and stuff like that, you know. Or I'll even put on like Christian videos, or music videos, or just whatever we can get in our mind to make us stronger. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can surround yourself with people, and I heard a quote, I think it was from Maxwell. He said it beautifully. Even if I'm listening to Maxwell, he's not sitting across the table from me, right? Like, I don't have that type of relationship with him, but even just listening to him, he's a mentor of mine now.
Absolutely.
Right. And so you surround yourself with people. If you're coming out of the slums, everyone around you might not be the best type of person. So you want to surround yourself with people, even if it's through books, virtually, whatever that looks like. You have to start surrounding yourself with people and get those negative people that aren't going anywhere. You can still love them. They can even be your family members.
Yeah.
But you have to separate and distance yourself to a certain extent, even if it's just mentally.
Yeah, no, it's true because like what happens is like I think like the enemy or whatever it is you'll start getting attacked for your weaknesses. And usually you'll be exposed by the people around you, you know. So especially if you have, like for me, I have certain weaknesses and I know to kind of stay away from those things. You know what I mean? Because not to say I'm weak, but I don't want those to take me down. You know what I mean? There was a book that we did a study on called Killing Kryptonite, and it's I think it's John Bevere, and it talks about, you know, what's your kryptonite. It talks about the Bible and everything else, but when you break it down, you kind of, it's like, what's our kryptonite? What can take you out of the game, Caleb? Right, and we have to know that, and a lot of people don't really know that. They think they know that, and so that's like stay away from those certain things. Like you said, is if someone's negative in your life and you're trying to do something big, you know, maybe like don't go to their house, you know, every week no more. You just maybe once a month or you know, and you know, listening to all those things. It's Automobile University. You know, you can keep growing while you're driving. I tell our guys, our superintendents, because they drive a lot. I'm like, listen to this book, listen to other books, like listen to things that are gonna like get in your brain and you're gonna learn. You know, and you know, sometimes if it's new to them, they'll say, hey, I'm not used to this. Well, you're not gonna be, but you're gonna get used to it. Just keep doing it. You know, you're gonna get a headache, you're gonna get tired. You're not even reading, you're just learning. Your brain's being challenged, right? Get past it. You know, it's a muscle. Let's grow, let's learn, and keep going, right?
Exactly.
So at a young age, you learn that. So that's kudos to you, because a lot of kids, they don't, I mean, grown adults don't
Thanks,
learn
man.
that.
Yeah, thank you. Praise God. Yeah, I've had some great guys, great mentors in my life, especially talking to young guys right now. Man, it is so important to have other older men, wiser men around you in your life that can pour into you. Yeah. That is such a blessing.
Yeah. And do you believe, like, you know, in your journey is like that certain people have a certain gift set or a certain calling that can pour into your life, and certain people can, like maybe you get one nugget from one guy and a different nugget from another guy? Do you believe that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. On the spiritual aspect, in sales, if you're building a business, whatever it is, relationally, it is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So like get the relationship from the guy who gets good at relationships. Yeah. Yeah. Don't get marriage advice from some, you know, dude that's
divorced.
But yeah, divorced, busted, and disgusted.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Be careful who you take your advice from. Yeah. Because if I take advice from my aunt who has been at the same job for 30 years, hates what she does, has no money, living paycheck to paycheck, and I'm going to take financial advice from her, like she can tell me, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, in one ear, out the other. Yeah. Right. And I might not tell her that straight to her face, but in my mind, I know what this person's results are, and I'm going to qualify it. Right. Qualify. Okay. Well, are you a millionaire? Like what success have you had? Yeah. I've been at the same job for 20 years, blah, blah, blah. That tells me all I need to know. Yeah. Right.
Do you find, and I struggle with this too sometimes, I feel like do you find that you tend to, and I'm not saying you do, but do you tend to judge people based on the life they're living and their experiences? Say if they, you know, especially when they're trying to pour into you, I mean, because sometimes I'll look at people and I'm like, I'm not listening to you. And I shouldn't even be that way. Like, that's not cool. But I'm that way, like, seriously. And I'm just being real. Yeah. I mean, are you that way too? Or how do you deal with that?
Yeah. You know, it says in the Bible that we should not judge. But at the same time, it says we should not cast our pearls before swine. So how do I know if you're swine or not if I don't judge you? Yeah. So there is a certain aspect where I need to, if someone is a drug addict and they ask me for money and I give them money every week and I say, you know what, this $20 every week I'm giving this person is not going to help them because they're wasting their life. Yeah. And so But if I say, I'm not going to judge you, that's wrong. I'm not going to judge you, right? You do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I am doing that person a disservice because now their life is going to be worse off because I didn't take a stand, because I didn't do the hard thing, what I knew was right, and actually saying, "Oh man, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to give you this money. If you want to talk, I'm here for you."
Yeah.
Right? If you need someone to talk to, if you need someone to pick you up, if you're in a bad situation, I'm here for you, but I'm not going to do this for you.
Yeah.
So there's a certain dichotomy that you have to manage with that.
Yeah. Judge, be not judged.
Right.
I think the same way. Everyone always says, "Don't judge them." Well, what do you call it when you're looking at their character traits? You know, you're judging them. Like, what are you analyzing them? Okay, let me analyze you. You want me to use a different word?
Whatever.
Let me analyze you.
Yeah, no.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
When you're looking at you know what I mean, who they are and what they've done and what they're capable of doing. So, all right, going back to, you know, your young adulthood. So, you know, you start getting this entrepreneurial bug. You're moving out of high school. How did you get, you know, what was your first entrepreneurial experience? What did you start a business up front? How'd that look like?
Yeah. So a little bit of backstory about why I even got to that point.
Okay.
Because that's really important. Is my mom had bilateral knee replacements. So she had both of her knees totally taken out and replaced.
The same time?
Yeah, surgery.
The same time?
Same time.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she took a 3-month sabbatical off of work and was living off of her savings during that time. But she got to the point where she literally could not afford it. She could not afford to stay home because she didn't have any passive recurring revenue coming in besides her job.
Yeah.
So she was forced to go back to work. And Chris, she would come home with tears dripping down her face because she was in literally so much physical pain.
I can't imagine.
No, yeah. And me being 18, maybe 19 years old, seeing that and that making me upset.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's my mom. And so I can't do anything to help her. That makes me even more upset. And so it's like, you know what? That was kind of my final straw moment. I also saw what a job could do to somebody. Right? If you rely on that.
Yeah.
And disclaimer, I'm not saying jobs are bad at all.
Yeah.
Right? If people want to work, if that's what they want to do,
okay,
then praise God. You know, I'm not built that way. I think you're doing a disservice to yourself if you know you are an entrepreneur and you're staying at that job, you need to take a risk.
Yeah.
But some people, they're just made to work, and that's great. You know, they're happy doing it. Then that's fine with them. So that was the motivation for me to actually start looking for more, because I had 3 jobs at one point trying just to work, and it wasn't progressing me. And so the first business I started was MLM, so multi-level marketing with Amway.
The big boys.
Yeah. And so I remember going to like malls, and the whole point of that business is you help people pretty much create their own business, their own product line, right? So they buy their own products, and then you get a cut of whatever they buy. They sign up people under them, and it's just repetition. And after about a year, I signed up one person. I didn't really have much results doing that, but I remember going to malls, man, and trying to sell people. Just walk. I'd see you in a mall and I say, "Hey man, how are you?" Just start a conversation, and it's like so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Being 18 years old trying to do this, but it was kind of a great opportunity to learn and kind of get your teeth kicked in.
Well, yeah, and you get to start learning how to speak with people.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah. Especially this introvert coming out of it, like you overcome it, right? And
you have to.
Yeah, I feel like I could talk to anybody.
Yeah.
You know. But after about a year, I stopped doing that. I focused on lifting weights, and I was focused on bodybuilding at that time for a couple of years. But then got around real estate. You know, I learned watching a YouTube video. 90% of millionaires got their millions through real estate.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, if I want this life, and 90% of people that have that life have done it through this one avenue, I'd be kind of foolish if I didn't at least look into that further.
How old were you at this time?
I was 19.
Okay.
And from there, that's when I started investing in real estate.
Who were some of the guys you were watching?
HGTV, house flipper stuff.
Oh, so you just kind of what you see in the basic stuff, and it kind of got your...
Yeah, that was kind of just something I looked at. I thought, man, this is really complicated. I mean, I need something more than this. So I found Bigger Pockets, which is a free like Facebook for real estate.
Yeah.
Learned a ton, learned about house hacking, and knew I needed a mentor as well, right? That was for me to take that step. I knew I needed to add value to somebody, and then they could teach me so I have less pain, less heartache. I can just use them, right? And so that was my start.
So you said you hired a mentor, a coach?
I didn't hire him.
Yeah.
He actually walked into my the restaurant I was working at, and he had like 4 or 5 rentals, and I held on to his business card for 2 months.
Okay.
Then after 2 months, I was like, man, I just got to call this guy.
Yeah.
I'm wasting time. So I called him up. I explained, hey man, you come into my restaurant and I want to learn. I know what you do. I know you own real estate. I want to do that. So teach me what you know. I know like your time is valuable. I'll unclog your toilets at 2 a.m. I don't care. I'll work for you for free. Just teach me. And he kind of chuckled and said, all right, Caleb, read Rich Dad Poor Dad 6 times and call me back. And so I did. Read that book. I called him back and he said, okay, read The Cash Flow Quadrant 6 times, call me back. Said, all right. Did it again. I think he did that one more time with like a YouTube video. Watched this 30-minute video 3 times, whatever. And he said, okay, I know you're serious. And he was a real estate agent. And so that was my in. He helped me find that first quadplex.
Yeah.
Lived in 1 unit, rented out the other 3. And he connected me with contractors, the lenders that I've worked with for the last 6 years. And that was a really pivotal relationship. And he was a believer as well, so that was icing on the cake.
I like how, I've said this in the past, is you took a chance and a risk on learning from someone that was better than you, and you were willing to do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people out there, and I get asked too, like people want to learn from me, and they don't want to put the time in. Mm-hmm. And I see it with other people as well, like other people I know that say, hey, yeah, this guy don't want to learn, but he don't want to come around. And, it's like when the opportunity is there, seize it.
Amen.
You got to put in, it's like God creates the momentum for you, right? It's when they say with opportunity and preparation comes success, right? And I believe God always brings the opportunity, right? So you're preparing mentally for the opportunity, right? And then you took it and the success, but some people don't prepare mentally, so they're not ready. You're ready. That's why you did what you did. You read the books and you listened to the things and you said, okay, I'll clean for you. I'll do everything. And so many people, even right now, I'm sure you see it right now online, and you put out things to people like, meet me here or do this, and they don't do nothing. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's like, man, I'm willing to give you my time for free. Not to say like you're this big shot dude, but like you're doing better than other people, right? And they don't value that, And I think like for people who are listening is value people's time and be willing to invest your own time, right? Because I can't expect you to give me your time and I'm not going to give you my time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially if your time is more valuable than mine at the moment, I need to give you a little more. Maybe I got to bring you lunch.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, as a matter of fact, what's on the menu, right?
Yep.
But it happens a lot. And that's why and people out there listening, like, look for a mentor and go work for them for free. If you want to get into an industry, go learn it for free. Don't expect that guy to pay you for, there is jobs. You get a job and learn it, but if you want to learn faster, get right to the top, go do it for free.
And stop talking about it. Right? We're having this conversation, right? We're sharing this to people for free.
For free.
And so take the information and act now.
Yeah.
Right? You can listen to this 5 times. You can keep on listening to Chris's amazing podcast for the next month. Take no action.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about it and do it, because that's when things actually start to happen.
Yeah. Find someone that's in your space that you want to learn from and go learn from them for free and bless them. Mm-hmm. Right? When I get around, I have a couple of mentors as well. And every time I get around them, most of them are out of state, I leave them with like a big gift because I value them so much. Like,
that's important.
They don't want nothing from me, right? They want me to listen to them if they're talking, right? Which I will. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, okay, man, what does this guy need? He needs like 3 pairs of shoes, and I see this, and I tried this one time. I think he'll like that. And I'll gift them maybe $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 worth of stuff because I value their time.
Man, I got to be friends with you, man.
No, that's how I am. I value people. Like that's the give. Like that's the sowing seeds in me. That's the God in me. Like the value people, sowing them because if like, and I'm not trying to buy them and show them. Like it's just like, man, dude, like that day was amazing. Here's a gift card. That those 2 days we spent learning this. Here's this because I value it. You where you place value, like that's so important. You know what I mean? People don't understand it. They want to like, okay, thank you for that, but I'm gone. Really? Like bear gifts.
Yeah, because they're essentially saying if they don't do it, they're essentially saying I think there's something better. There might be something better out there.
No, they don't care. Right? They don't value it. You put your money where your mouth is. If you value something, you put your money the same way you value your properties. You put your money where your mouth is on your properties, right?
Right.
Because there's a return. So if there's a return with somewhere something or someone's giving you the return, you got to place value on it.
Right. Some people, they got to get over that. They've been raised a certain way. They've been around the people for so long. They don't think they're valuable.
That's true.
And so they need to get over that.
Yeah.
And so part of it's just getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. I've heard so many guys, one of my mentors, he's worth 20, 30 million and owns thousands of rental units. And man, he was a meth addict here in Maricopa County. And that was 20 years ago. And now he's worth 20, 30 million. We just went on a mission trip together and he's bringing 70 people with him on these mission trips. Right. And so if you don't make that decision now, you are doing hundreds of other people a disservice because they aren't going to receive the blessing. Like for you, right? You own this business, right? So you got to make money. And so now you're benefiting all these other people that work for you, right? Otherwise, they would need to go get another job. And so that's why that's so important to actually take action.
Take action. Yeah. Sow where you want to grow. Right? So everyone out there, go learn. Go learn from someone. Follow this guy. Follow Caleb if you like real estate, multifamily. If you like learning, follow me. If you like whatever you like go after that person that's ahead of you. Learn from them because if someone's already paved the way and they're further ahead, like you've already made mistakes that I haven't made. So why do I need to make them?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes people, they want to go to Grant Cardone and they're starting for their first day.
It's too much.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's got problems I can't even fathom. Yeah. Right. So find someone that's 6 to 18 months ahead of you.
Yeah.
And add value to that person, right? Because they can shave that, what they've learned in 18 months, they can condense in 3 to 6 to you. Man, that is incredible growth if you can tap into that.
Well, and sometimes it's just too much information at one time. Like you said, when you go to the biggest guys, it's just too much. Yeah. And you either fall out or you just don't grasp it. You know what I mean? So like you said, if you go to someone that's not as experienced, they're still learning, so you're going to get taught at a slower pace, which is better. You know what I mean? You don't want to get like you said, if you go to Grant Cardone, man, that dude's doing, he's got $6 billion worth of assets. They're going really fast. So you got to be ready to go really fast. And if you're not doing nothing, you ain't ready to go really fast. Right. Now, some people can, right? It happens, but most people don't.
Right. It helps too to have someone, like for me starting off, man, I needed someone that was in front of me. Yeah. Right. That was kind of like I could touch and I could see you. You have the success. Right. And so, man, if Chris can do it, man, and I see you, right? You got the fruit. And so why can't I do it?
That's right. Yeah. And if you can do it, anyone can.
Amen.
Right. So did you graduate high school?
I did.
Okay, good.
Praise God.
And then so from high school, boom, you get in, you start getting into real estate, no college, right?
No college.
You haven't went back to college?
No.
Do you plan on going back to college?
Maybe for a seminary degree. I mean, if you count that as college, but that's more of like a personal pleasure that I see. But no college.
If you want to do that, I can hook you up with the school if you don't know one yet. Okay. Yeah, I'll hook you up where my father-in-law went. Cool. Yeah, it's online. It's cool. It's a lot of people go do it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah.
All right. And then so you get into to real estate. You get a mentor. Kudos for that, right? You get into your first deal, quadplex. You live in one, correct?
Right.
Explain that deal just for the audience. Like, how'd that go down and how'd that turn out? And let's keep going from there.
Yeah. That's a funny story. So it was in Apache Junction, if you know the Phoenix MSA. So it's like a C minus D neighborhood, right? So A is the cream of the crop, D is the worst neighborhood.
Yeah.
So of that property, 4 units, I lived in one. One of my tenants was a drug dealer. The other one was a hoarder. So 2-bed, 1-bath, 7 people living there, 2 kids, man. I mean, like 7, 8 years old, and just bad situation. And so I remember the first day my mom was helping me move in, and across the road in an alley, this guy's running towards us, right?
Hold on. So how old were you when you bought this quadplex?
I was 20.
Okay, 20 years old.
20 years old. And so across this alley, this guy's running towards us, and we think, oh, this guy's getting chased by a dog or whatever. And some cop turns a corner and is chasing this guy down. They just did a drug bust or something. And my mom's a Christian lady, right? She's like, F, she's freaking out. Yeah. I'm like, just close the door, get in. And I'm like, great, man. Now my mom's heartache.
Yeah, she's
right?
like, what's my son doing?
You're right. And, but no, bought that property. I needed 3.5% for the down payment.
Yeah.
For this $300,000 property.
Single family home, FHA, right?
Technically, yeah. Yeah. So, and they can use my lender actually used the rental income to help me qualify.
Nice.
And so I needed like $10,500 for the down payment, a couple thousand in reserves. Bought that fourplex, and after I think 12 months was when it started actually cash flowing about $1,200 a month. And then refinanced, sold that deal probably a year and a half later, made around 170 on it. Really rode the market. It was a great time.
Yep. And
I can talk to some more struggles about that, but overall that was the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were some of the struggles?
I learned like 5 days after I bought this property, I had to kick the hoarder out because her lease was coming up.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's like 75 years old, living off of disability.
Fixed income.
Yeah. And I'm going to kick his family out. Right. And so I'm at this point where 5 days after owning this property, man, the Lord's given me this opportunity. Take it or cower, Caleb. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And so I just kept thinking about my mom. It's either this guy or my mom.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? That was it.
So what did you do? You kicked them out? Did you get it on rent, or you moved your mom in?
No, I didn't move my mom in. No, she wouldn't live there.
I was just trying to finish the story.
Yeah.
She's like, I ain't living in Crackville.
Heck no. Next to the drug dealer. So no, I gave them the notice. I ended up giving them like cash for keys. So they
wouldn't leave?
No, like 2 weeks after I gave that notice, man, this guy broke his hip. Yeah. And so his drug addict brother or son is in charge of that home. And so he was like 5 days late of moving out. And I said, look, man, if you got all your crap out of here, I'll give you $100.
Yeah.
Which was a good deal. And so, man, he worked and he got that $100. He got everything out. And
it was a good deal for you.
For both. Yeah.
$100 ain't nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. For him, I guess it was, man, he worked. But I spent 2 months and $7,000 renovating that thing, blood, sweat, and tears. And then with the next unit, once that was vacant, the drug dealer, there was more work to be done, and I paid someone else to do it.
Yeah.
2 weeks, $7,500.
Yeah.
I was like,
get
dude,
it done.
Either
wait, 3 months of no income plus the same amount of money.
Yep.
Actually, it's less because you lose three months.
Exactly.
Or you get it done. And you lose 1 month max because by the time you're leasing and stuff.
So I learned, man, I'm not a handyman, not a contractor. Hire it out. And
so you saved like a couple grand by hiring it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got your income.
And I didn't have to be there at 2 a.m. painting, scraping popcorn ceiling off that's got nicotine dripping down the wall type thing.
Yeah.
And so
I'm more like crack, bro.
Yeah.
Crackhead.
Yeah. And so then the drug dealer, he got evicted. Well, he actually got arrested, and then I just didn't renew his lease and had to do that whole route. But he threatened me, and so a lot of learning lessons though.
Yeah.
A lot of learning lessons.
So cash for keys for everyone watching. The cash for keys is basically someone don't want to move. You pay them to move. You either pay them like a month rent, whatever the deal is, however much you have to pay them to get it, depending on how important it is.
Right.
$100 to me was like nothing.
It's nothing. $500 would have been a good deal.
It depends because especially today, they let people stay anywhere for free now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to go get a judgment on them and stuff to get them out of there.
Yeah.
So what'd you buy that property for, if you don't mind me asking?
$300,000.
So you bought it for $300, sold it for almost $500.
$535, I think was the price. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you made the money after the after
fees
the
and all
fees. That. Yeah. That's a good deal, right? So you take that money, you flip it. What'd you flip it into?
I did a 1031 exchange.
Okay.
Which is if you sell a property, there's capital gains tax.
Yep.
But the IRS says, hey, if you do a 1031 exchange, that means you're deferring those capital gains taxes. Let's say you pay $50,000 in taxes. You can defer that to a later date if you do a 1031 exchange, which means you have 45 days to identify 3 more properties that you want to roll that gain into.
Yeah.
And then you have 135 days to actually close those properties, or one of them, whatever. And that's what I did. So I deferred that into a redevelopment retail facility in Casa Grande, Arizona.
Oh, you rolled that
Casa Grande. Yeah, they teach you how to say it when
you
you're
rolled the
there.
R. It's not grande.
No, it's not grandy either. They get mad at that. But yeah, and so that's what I did. And then I did another house hack for a duplex.
So the 1031 exchange, did you learn that from the mentor? Or did you Google that?
Like surrounding myself.
YouTube, all the videos and stuff.
You listen to enough podcasts.
Yeah, they're all
learn things.
Yeah, depending on what the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
So you start rolling. You roll that in. You get what's the retail one? You still have it today?
Mm-hmm.
What's that one?
It's I think 12,000 square feet in downtown. It's kind of an older part of town, and so I
didn't know Casa Grande had a downtown, bro.
Yeah, I guess that's something you learn when you buy a property down there. And so our play is to revitalize that area, and so I partnered with somebody who I've partnered on a handful of deals with, and so I'm more of a silent partner. It's a joint venture, so okay. I need to have some active participation.
Yep, I
can't be passive, and that's the play.
I like it. Mm-hmm. I like it. There's always a place somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right area. You can make it the right area, right?
Yeah.
There's money to be. So you get that property, you move on to the next property. What are, like, at this point you're in retail, get the building. What's your thoughts are, because what happens sometimes is people start growing and then they kind of hold themselves back. You get bit a little bit, like you got bit a couple times by the crackhead, by the mm-hmm. You start learning, like you get a little punched in the face a little bit. Mm-hmm. What's your thought process as you're growing and starting to learn? Are you thinking, I want to keep doing this? Are you scared still? Are you like the jitters are gone and it's like, let's just roll?
Once for me, I'm of the ilk that once I see something and it makes sense, like real estate, there's nothing better. Mm-hmm. Right. So what else could I go to? Even if I get slammed in the face. I mean, I've heard, I think Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki said, you could be 32 years old, go bankrupt and still have enough quote unquote time to be another millionaire or whatever. So yeah, you have a lot. There's so much opportunity.
Dude, you could be 60 years old and go bankrupt and become a millionaire.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Yeah. You can do it. But there's nothing I see better than real estate.
Yeah.
So if I got kicked in the face 100 times, it's all an opportunity.
Yeah.
So.
No, it is. It is. It's the same thing here. But I'm more heavy into construction, getting into real estate. But it's the same. It's the same thing as if we can learn from it. I mean, the learning experience is tremendous, right? One is you get to teach other people. Mm-hmm. Two is hopefully you don't make the same mistake again, right? But I like the fact that I get to teach other people. Mm. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's sowing those seeds again. It's giving back. It's giving back. It's giving back. Because and then also if you learn from it, that means it didn't you didn't fall shy of it. You didn't get afraid from because sometimes we get hit, and then if you don't really learn, you just don't do it again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When you learn from it is when you're like, okay, let's do this. I fell, I got up, know not to trip over that, right? It's people that don't learn from it are usually the ones like, I'm done.
Right.
I'm out. I'm done. I tried it. It's 3 months in. I'm out. You know, and so many people today do that. They don't learn from it and they quit. Because if you learn from it, it's like, okay, so I built a house. Man, it was hard. I thought I was like just going to conquer this thing, you know, and very hard. And I learned so much that I'm like, I got to use this again. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. And if I just said, man, I got my butt whipped the whole time, and I would quit. I would never use the wisdom, the knowledge that I gained from the experience. I would never use it again, or even want to teach someone else how to use it.
Right. It's like shiny object syndrome. You could spend 12 months learning this thing and be like, that didn't work. I failed, didn't learn anything. I'm going to try this. And so you got these people, man, they're like 50 years old and they've done so much, but they've never gained any traction because they haven't stuck with one thing. And I'm trying to think of the billionaire who's a stock guy. One of the most wealthy guys. Can't remember his name right now. But he said, if you stick with something in your 20s and you do that for 30 years, that's how he's become a billionaire.
Yeah.
Because you just do one thing and you just do that for 30 years. Man, the knowledge you'll have in that is ridiculous.
It could be anything too.
Anything. Yeah, building homes, real estate.
We would start, we have a lot of these young people around us at church and stuff. And throughout the last few years, they've always gravitated to my wife and myself because we're, business entrepreneurs and stuff. And most of them want to do 4, 5, 6 different things. And I tell them all the same thing. Let's talk about what you're doing. Okay, let's pick one.
Yeah, slow down.
Yeah, let's just pick one. What are you really good at? What do you really like? Well, I really like this. Well, why are you doing that? Well, I didn't know, so my friend and blah blah blah. Like, let's get you on one thing, get you in one path, and let's excel at that, and let's kill it. Get some wins in that, And that's exactly. I never heard it called shiny object syndrome, but it makes sense. People move on, especially in sales. I see it in sales a lot. They move on from product to product to product to product. Stick with one product. Stick with one product. All you got to do is stick with one product and you'll sell the hell out of it. You become a millionaire or make some good money at least, So thank God you stuck to one product, huh?
Yeah, real estate, man. I mean, there's, again, 90% of millionaires got their millions through real estate. Man, that just makes sense to me.
Yeah. So you're growing, you're learning. What's your real estate portfolio look like these days?
Today, I own 5 apartment complexes across 3 states, the 1 retail facility, and I'm focused on apartments.
Yeah, multifamily.
Yeah, multifamily, totaling, I think 117 units, 116 with multifamily, and then the 1 retail facility.
Yeah, 116 units.
Yeah.
And so you are all these in syndication?
4 are, and then 1's a JV, joint venture.
So just you and another guy?
Me and 3 other people.
3 other people? Okay, cool. So syndication is, we hear that word a lot, right? It's thrown out, it's been the last 3 years, it's been thrown out a lot, especially, I mean, how does that look? What are the pros and cons to syndication?
So I've used less than $15,000 of my own capital to buy 5 apartment complexes.
Jesus Christ, bro. Let's go do 5 more. Let's go do like 20 more now.
Yeah. So you don't need your own money.
Yeah.
Even when you buy these things and you need, let's say, a $15,000 attorney fee, then the investors are going to pay for that. So whenever you close a property, you're going to get that $15K back if you have to come out of pocket for it. So again, you're pulling investors' capital together. You're buying something bigger that you couldn't otherwise buy.
Yeah.
And that's how these people are doing it.
Yeah.
Right? You see Grant Cardone, he's more of a crowdfund space, which is the same thing.
Yep.
Really, just a little bit different.
Yeah, he's just on a bigger scale.
Right.
So are you GP in some of these or LP? What's your position?
GP, all of them.
Are you managing the assets as well? The whole portfolio, so you get a managing fee and all that stuff?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's where you're making your money. Are you guys right now, are you able to refi right now? Is the market good for refi?
No, we're trying to. So we have fixed debt on all of our assets except for 1.
Yeah.
And interest rates have been a pain in the butt. So we've been trying to refinance and then just get a fixed rate.
Yeah.
Even if we got like an 8% fixed rate, we're paying like 13.
Well, at least
right now,
oh
floating.
shoot.
Yeah.
but you can't refi because the market, because it's kind of taking all kinds of weird things are happening right now.
Right. So values have dropped, right? So you got that. And then banks are a little bit more conservative.
Yep.
So they want more loan to value. And so, I mean, praise God, we thought that we would have market rents of $1,250. Market rents are $1,450.
Cool.
Because there's such a demand. So we're increasing rents so much.
Yeah.
So there's not a cash flow problem, right? We're just breaking even.
Yeah, you just can't pull out.
No, yeah. And so it is what it is. But we're just trying to dial in that property and increase income so that we can refinance eventually.
Well, yeah, because if you can increase the income, you increase the value of the whole asset.
That's right.
Because for everyone watching the multifamily, they're not just apartments or a piece of real estate. It's a business.
That's how banks look at them, right?
Yeah.
And they are. Yeah, that's how they're valued. So if you can increase the amount of money a business makes, it's worth more.
Yep.
Right? Because anyone that buys it, they're buying the business so they can make money on it. And so that's how banks look at it, and that's how they're valued.
Yeah. So that's cool because people, like we hear, I mean, multifamily was just booming, right? Another friend of mine, he bought like almost 1,000 units in the last 3 years. Just killing it. You know what I mean? But even him, he came to a screeching halt because you can't refi. Yeah. But he made good money. Refied out, and some of these guys that I've met or know or something, they were able to make another 30 million, 40 million refinancing, some hundreds. Grant Cardone probably, 500 million, $1 billion or whatever. Bobby Castro, that guy owns like 750 million in assets, So these guys are refinancing. They can't do it right now today, but a year ago, 2 years ago, they're pulling out 100 million a year. Right. So for those people watching, it's at least learn some game in real estate, whether it's multifamily or single family, a little bit different. I think less lucrative because it's not a business.
Right. So I had been investing in residential for 3 years, and then I thought I would be able to translate that knowledge into apartments. Yeah. Because I knew I would get into apartments eventually. That's just where more big dogs play. Now, I went to an apartment meetup. The guests shared two things that totally changed my life.
What's that?
One was you could have 6 months of residential investing experience or 15 years. Regardless, whenever you start investing in apartments, it'll be just as green. Because they're totally two different things. Yeah. You can't translate knowledge from residential and take it to commercial.
It's true.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so start sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And so that got my gears turning, thinking, what am I doing in residential? Then the second thing he shared was his first deal and the numbers. He bought this property with a couple partners. After 4.5 years, they sold it. And he alone took home $2.5 million.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, I'm in.
What am I doing?
Yeah. Right. But it is different though, because like you said, is single family is one rental unit for however many people, right? It's one piece of income coming in. And, with the multifamily, you got a lot of other accounting to look at and provide for. You got the pro forma, you gotta do just to look at it. You gotta underwrite it, and it's a lot of stuff. And I think that when people start to learn a little bit about it, that's overwhelming. You know what I mean? And I know because like I was doing it with Castro, right? And I probably did it like a year, and they were still learning how to teach. They're killing it, but they were learning how to teach. They hadn't. I think they started building the curriculum kind of towards when I stopped, which I stopped along like a month and a half ago.
Okay.
Or 2 months ago. So what the heck was I saying?
We were talking about.
I had like 3 things I was thinking about.
Yeah, I think apartments. The difference scaling a residential investing business.
Yeah.
To apartments.
The business. So the form. So everything. So what happens is that's funny. Is it becomes intimidating for people that like say want to enter the market, but don't know how to do it. And so, what would you say to that person or those that group of people? Hey, I want say I'm that person. I want to get in, but I'm not sure. I don't understand the form. I don't know what underwriting is. And, what would you say to that?
Well, we've talked about mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
So finding a mentor. And I'll be honest, it takes the same amount of time to build a residential business as it does commercial.
It's just time.
It's different things, right? It's different things, but you're going to be making 2.5 million on one deal if you buy the right deal, or
150,000.
Yeah, 150 is great, but brother, 2.5 with the same amount of time.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Especially if you want generational wealth. If you want to leave your job, I've done the residential game.
Yeah,
and once I started investing in apartments, that's when I was able to actually leave my job.
Yeah.
And so finding a mentor is huge, and just learn the business. Start soaking up information now, read as many books as you can, find people that you can partner with.
Yeah.
And learn from them.
Follow you, bigger pockets, what do they do called?
It's a lot of residential stuff.
Yeah. Knock for doors or whatever, but they give you some content. What's the, is that the guys with the beard?
Brandon Turner?
Yeah. He's part of
not
that?
with Bigger Pocket. He used to be when I started 6 years ago, but he's not now.
Yeah. Cause they're doing multifamily and storage sheds and RV parks.
Brandon Turner is, Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, is, if the multifamily start, what I started doing was I was watching Rob Cleef too.
Rob Cleef, yeah.
He's, big name. And I just started soaking in. I would Google, I got all kinds of underwriting forms, different templates and stuff. Some are like 4 lines, some are 700 lines.
Yeah.
Depending on the property, the asset, right? That's intimidating.
It is.
Because now you got to figure out what to put in,
Right. And when I started, I had no Excel experience.
Yeah.
And these underwriting tools are in Excel. And my first mentor, I would bird dog and find deals for him, and then I'd bring them to him, but he taught me underwriting. And that's one thing I do. I have a coaching program where, I do live underwriting once a week.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it's so important, right? Because again, you look at 700 lines and and there's 10 tabs on this Excel sheet. It's like, dude, I don't know what the heck I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So it can be pretty intimidating starting off.
Especially with the big assets. But, so someone starting off, what would you suggest something they look at? A quadplex, a duplex? Like Grant's don't look at anything small, right? And obviously most people are starting out small. Say they're not doing a syndication and they're like, hey, I got 500 grand or 300 grand or 50 grand. What's that advice to them as far as what to look at?
It depends on their specific situation.
Yeah.
Right. But I tell people all the time, I wish I started an apartment sooner. So learn the business. If you have some reserves, I talk to guys all day that have 50, 60K. They're working a day job.
Yeah.
And so, man, learn the apartment business and start sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
If you can house hack at the same time, and it only costs you 10 grand, rather get into it. But at the same time, start in apartments sooner rather than later.
When you say house hack, break that down.
House hacking is what my first deal was. Yep. Living in one unit, renting out the other rooms if it's a single family home.
Yeah.
Quadplex, just rent out the other units. You only need owner occupied FHA loan. So 3.5% for the down payment.
Yep.
So you look at how much you're going to buy that thing for, multiply it by 3.5%. That's how much you need to buy that thing.
Yeah.
And then look at how much cash it's going to generate you.
Yeah.
You do need to live in it for 9 months to 12 months, depending on whatever your lender tells you, but it's worth it.
I think also on top of that is if you are house hacking, don't count on the income from the other units to pay for your unit. I know people say, well, you can live free, but I would pay for your own unit. You know what I mean? And use that money to put aside and get ready for the next move. You know what I mean? Because you can get into this mindset where, oh, it's paying my unit off and you're not doing anything with it. Yeah, you can have a fourplex for the rest of your life. But if you take that money, you pay your portion, let them pay their portion, and now you can start moving up, right? Yeah, it's that mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I like that. I didn't do that. I just save everything I have. So the money kept piling up for me.
Yeah.
But no, that's good for that mindset.
The mindset.
shift.
Yeah, because if you rely on that money, you're just going to rely on it.
Right.
You're going to think you have to make less money because you're getting $600 over here. You know what I mean? Where you can just put aside, pay put aside, and say, okay, I'm ready. A year later, you got 25, 30 grand more. You refinance it, got another 70 grand. Now you got 100 grand. Your next moves up, right?
That's right.
I mean, I don't have any experience, but I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Scale.
Yeah, scale.
You scale.
Yeah.
And whenever people want to start off, some people want to do, I know people starting off, they wanted to buy $100 million deal.
Yeah.
For the first deal. And they've done it, right?
Oh, no,
they bought 2 deals and they make $1 million on the acquisition fee on one deal. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. I know people that start with a flip, they wholesale, right? Because they have no capital. What I tell people is start with this 20 unit apartment complex.
Yeah.
The same skills you need to buy a 20 unit, same thing for a $100 million deal. It's a little bit different, right? There's going to be a little bit more work, a lot more zeros.
Yeah.
But start with a small apartment complex, commercial apartment complex, 20 units, and then scale from there.
Yeah, because you can learn how to manage, learn to rehab, all the rehabs, and because that's a whole nother ball game. Managing the complex, these big complexes, you know, you got to have a full staff, a manager, a salesperson, you know, the maintenance team. You know, you got to pay for marketing. It's a lot, right? If you jump out and you're not used to it, people get bit sometimes. So I like the starting small, like you're saying, like, and what level you're at, and what's your tolerance to pain,
right?
To risk,
right.
You know, if you have a high tolerance, and if you got enough money, like, you know, because like you said, is how much money are you actually sitting on? You know, if you're not sitting on a lot, well, start small. Don't be afraid. But if you are, and you can take a bigger risk, instead of going for 4, go to that 20 or that 30. So some guys, are you following any guys here in town? Like the Rise guy or anybody?
Oh yeah, I know Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who else is in town. There's Zach Happenstall, Michael Blanc. He has a guy out here. I was on his podcast. But people out here, not that I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out here.
I'm trying to think who's out here. I know Zach.
Mark Taylor. Are they all over?
Mark Taylor.
Mark Taylor's high end A.
A.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you there's a few people, but I like it, man. So how does your mentor stuff go in your coaching? It's not mentor for you, it's coaching. So what kind of coaching do you offer to, you know, to potential, you know, coachees or clients? What are you offering? Does it cost anything? And, you know, talk about that. Yeah.
I don't want anyone just in the program because it's taken me a lot of time to learn and it's very hands-on. So I'm going to spend a lot of time with that person. Right. So I'm going to show up, right? I'm the hardest worker I know. And I say that humbly, praise God. I'm sure there's other people that work just as hard, but I'm going to show up. So I want to make sure that person's going to show up, period. The coaching though is very hands-on, right? There's reoccurring weekly clinics where I talk about underwriting, like I said, for that hour once a week.
Yeah.
Then a general multifamily clinic, another hour where I talk about raising capital, finding the market, all that. You have direct access to me, right? Compared to, we talked about earlier, Grant Cardone, you don't have access to that person unless you pay 10 grand for an hour.
No.
Right. So
way more.
Yeah. Is it way more?
Way more.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It used to be 10 grand.
No, 10 grand.
Years ago.
Maybe 10 grand would get you at the front row.
Yeah. Oh,
if you want some private time, you're spending like 100 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, awesome for him.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I have a video library of my entire method. And so that's what that coaching looks like. Again, it's very hands-on.
Yeah.
There are some points throughout the process where I meet one-on-one with people. It's a one-time investment. But before I drop price, man, I want to talk to that person and actually see if they're a good fit.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
one-time investment for the lifetime?
For a year. You get lifetime access to the video library.
Yeah. So 1 year. So, and then after the year's up, you say, hey, because I know you're still young in this world. Is the plan to say, hey, let's renew, or, you know,
the goal of the program is I want you to be a part of your first multifamily in 12 months or less.
Yeah.
The big promise of the program is that I want to make you the master of acquisition.
So you shouldn't be in the program longer than a year.
Shouldn't.
Yeah.
And if you don't close a deal in 12 months or less, I work with you for free until you do.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say I kick you out.
I kick you out. Or that
you're done, bro.
Yeah. No. And so that's the promise of the program.
Yeah.
Right. Again, very in depth, but that's the structure.
I like it. So if someone wants to try to get it, they got to DM you. Where you at? LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Instagram, follow me on there. I give content on there all the time, right? I give my whole method on there. It's in like 10-second or
Nuggets.
30-second nuggets. Yeah, it'll take you 20 years.
Yeah.
But
Putting it as like a puzzle, huh?
yeah.
And you're like, you don't know which week I'm putting out.
So, or, if people want to text me, man, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay giving my number.
And then, so are you on YouTube as well?
I am.
Okay. I know I'm follow you on LinkedIn and Instagram. And I seen some stuff on YouTube, but I didn't know how in depth you were on YouTube.
Yeah. YouTube is really the podcast.
Yeah.
So
The
my
full deal.
Yeah. And then Instagram is more of where I post directly. And if I'm working on a struggle, like let's say I pass on a 230 unit apartment complex.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I just passed on this opportunity, 230 units. Here's 2 reasons why. So that's more of what
Kind of what
social
you've
media
seen.
looks like.
Yeah, that way you learn from.
Yeah.
We can learn from it as audience. And then, so you got the coaching, and so if someone wants to message you, you're going to basically interview them to see if they could be a fit to what you're doing.
Right. Because I've talked to people and they're in short-term rentals and they're like, man, I do not want to focus on anything else, or I have no money, right? So I need to get a job, but I want to get into multifamily. So, hey, get a job first.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be a good fit right now.
So you give them some action steps.
Yeah. Here's some homework.
Yeah.
Come back maybe in 6 months, 3 months, whenever you're ready, and let's go from there. Now, there's, of course, if someone is ready and they are serious, man, let's get to work.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Let's start taking action now.
You see my message. Did you see my message this morning?
I did. Yeah. We'll talk later.
Yeah. So I like the whole thing, man. I've been in construction for a long time, since I was 17, but basically 16. But my industry since I was 17, this drywall painting industry. So like 25 years or whatever, 26 years. And I've always liked real estate, we flipped homes and I got a couple buildings but the multifamily, I just like the whole thing. I like the income part of it, but I also like the development side of it too. So construction and real estate are like, those are 2 things. And now, podcast. Yeah.
Right.
This is like my hobby.
Yeah.
I love this.
Too.
So, cause you get to teach and learn. I'm learning right now. So, okay. So coaching. So, what's the name of your podcast?
From Trial to Triumph.
From Trial to Triumph. I like that. I like that.
Yeah. I interview people kind of similar to yours a little bit, people that have come up, and I interviewed one of my mentors who was that meth addict, like I said, and now he's a multimillionaire.
Who's that guy?
His name is Rob Rossell.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got 3,000 units. He's a rock star,
Nice.
And other people, I had one guy, man, this guy always stands out to me. He was in Afghanistan and had an IED blow up in his face.
His face.
Yeah. And he's blind and deaf.
Okay.
The dude's blind and deaf. He's got a magnet attached to the back of his head so he can hear. And he runs ultra marathons.
Oh, wow. You interviewed
Blind
him?
and deaf. I did. And talking to this guy, I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? You run ultra marathons and you're blind and deaf? What am I doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Was it easy to communicate with him?
It was. Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, to get through that and then still have the confidence to keep going.
Yeah, man, he's had struggles, dealing with that. It's not like a light switch. It's like, oh, now I'm going to run an ultra marathon. But talking through his story, and, I've had 70 episodes of maybe not people exactly like that, crazy of a struggle.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot. Everyone's got a story.
Everyone's got a story.
Everyone does.
Yeah. I mean, I have a story. You have a story. Some people's are more intense than others, depending on where they came from or whatever their background is. It's all about overcoming. It's about like, if you can do it, if I can do it, anyone can do it. You know what I mean? So before we end, what's that piece of advice you'd give that young entrepreneur, or not even entrepreneur, that young, young at heart person that wants to come up, wants to do better, maybe wants to get into the real estate game or into just business in general? What's that piece of advice you'd give them?
Yeah. Start taking action now.
Take action now.
Take action now, guys. You will never get younger, and just start now. Do something. It doesn't even matter what you do, really. Just start taking action in that right step.
Yeah. So there it is, guys. Caleb Johnson. Take action. Follow him. DM him. He may let you in. He may not. I don't know. But thank you for watching us, and be blessed.